Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Made with Love. My name is Heather, and today I was going to make a quick and easy pork stew for supper. And then I looked at the clock. I just spent the last 15 minutes or so, peeling 10 pounds of potatoes, because it's already like after 3 now, and I just realized last night I forgot to take the meat out of the freezer. So here we go. My meat is in the freezer, and it is frozen. So I've got these meats that I'm going to use up. These are both from Sunterra Market. These are the Farms Pork Stewing Cubes. This one says Farms Pork Stewing Cubes. And I got one more pack here. And this is also says the Farms Pork Stewing Cubes. So you can see by the amount, $3.19 for this pack, $4.04 for this pack, and $3.42 for this pack. So now I'm going to show how I defrost my meat really, really fast. I bought this tray a couple of years ago. I don't know, I've got to be getting close to 5 years ago now, from the Showcase store. And so they sell everything like that, like, can't even speak. I know years ago it used to be called As Seen on TV. So that was the type of product that they would have in their store. They would have TVs going with all the infomercials and all the infomercial products. So I bought this. And so this tray actually helps to defrost the meat, which actually goes pretty fast. But I found a way to make this tray go even faster. So I'm just going to grab one of my cookie sheets. I put my cookie sheet down. I put this tray in the center of the cookie sheet, and then I just set my packs of meat on here. And then it's supposed to leave it out on the counter, but I have pets. Oops, I got 2 cookie sheets here. So, okay, I only need 1. So I've got, because I have pets, I found that it actually helps just to set it in the oven, because as this meat starts to defrost, my dogs and cats really want to come to get the meat. By placing it either in the oven or in the microwave, it kind of keeps the animals from having access to it. So I'm just going to turn the light on so I know, and move these out of the way so that I know the meat is in there defrosting. So here is my potatoes that I just finished peeling. So I will be cutting these up and starting to cook them. I don't want the potatoes to be like overly cooked when I add the meat, or when I add the potatoes to the meat for the stew. But I like my potatoes almost half cooked. Then I find that they're not so, because I've had it where sometimes my potatoes are a little hard in the center. So if I partially cooking my potatoes before I add it and let everything cook down, it just makes the potatoes cook faster, I guess. So I will be back when I'm ready to do the potatoes and when the meat is a little more defrosted. So I'll show you so you can see the time. So it is now 3:13. So I will come back in about half an hour to show you how fast this defrosts the meat. So it's okay. So it's been about half an hour. So I'll show you what the meat looks like, just how fast this tray defrosts them. See, it's still frozen, but they are getting more soft. So now I'm actually going to take these out of the packaging, because you're supposed to have them like meat straight on the tray, but they were just so frozen that sometimes they just need that extra little bit. Oops. Get this out. They might still be pretty frozen because they don't want to slip out of the tray. So I'm just going to dump it out of the tray and that, and then I'll be back in half an hour to show you, just how fast this defrosting tray really works. It's still so frozen. These were from the deep freeze. They've been in the freezer like a week in the deep freeze, and so this is after 30 minutes or so. I can actually like hold them and take them out of the packaging. This I was unable to, just how much it was frozen, but I will be back in half an hour to show you just what it looks like after another half an hour. So while my meat is defrosting, I've got like about 10 pounds of potatoes in here, peeled and diced, and they're on I'm trying to get these to cook, but they're on a low simmer, like they're on a medium heat, but kind of just trying to get them to kind of cook a little bit. I'm going to use half of these potatoes or whatever is going to be in my stew. The other bit, whatever I don't need for my stew, I'm actually going to make a potato soup, and then I'm going to freeze the potato soup. So I guess I'm kind of making tonight's supper and a supper that we can use later on this week or into even like the next month or so. So I'm just going to wait for my potatoes to continue to cook here. Like I said, I'm still waiting for the meat to defrost, then check that. I'll be checking the meat in about, well, I guess I could check the meat now. I'm not really looking at the clock. So, I'm not quite sure how long these have been in here for the second time. But you can see they're still pretty frozen, but it does go quite fast. You can see the liquid, you know, the ice is all melting. So it's not going to be too much longer. And then, yeah, see it's starting to really already break up. Now these ones here were just a little bit thicker. These ones were under the other meat. So these ones, and they're also just packed more, you know, more chunks were packed closer together, so they take a little longer to defrost. But as you can see just how fast and easy this little tray works to really defrost the meat. So I think it's like almost 4 o'clock. So I think by 4:30, I'll be back at about 4:30, and I'll be starting to brown or braise the pork. So I'll be back at about 4:30. Okay, so they've been in here a few more minutes longer than half an hour. I just got busy, and then I was just chopping up the onions. I was doing the potatoes, and my potatoes boiled over, so I had to stop and clean up, and then I had to chop my onions. So you can see just the meat is like pretty much defrosted now. So I'm just going to set this over on this side of the oven. Okay. So I've got my pot here. I'm just going to quickly do a quick, let's get my stove to turn on. I'm just going to do a really quick browning of the meat. I've just got my olive oil here. I'm just going to put a little bit in. And I'm just going to pour the meat in. And of course I drop some all over the stove here. Just rinsing my hands because I was just touching that, and then I go and I touch them some more, but no, so I'm just going to grab a spoon here. I'm just going to start to stir these. I'm just going to start to brown my meat here. So I'm going to start to get this to cook. And as this browns, I'll be adding in my onions in just a few moments as well. And then my broth. So, and there's my potatoes. My potatoes are actually more cooked than I wanted to, but again, I just got busy with some other things at the moment. So I'll be using half of these potatoes in my stew. The other half I'll be making a potato soup. So I'll be back after my meat is browned. It's not going to take that many minutes, but you know, still like probably about 15 minutes to get this meat browned on all sides. So I'll be back when the meat is browned. Okay, so my meat is half braised, so I threw in one onion that's like chopped or sliced. I'm just going to get this to finish braising, and then I'm just going to add my vegetable stock that I have. actually, I don't have any other beef or veggie stock, but I've got the faux broth. So I'm going to pour this in here, and this will help. So the meat's almost braised, but this will just really kind of help me get my stew cooking faster here. I love these recipes where you can kind of just, everything just goes into one pot. You don't really have to worry too much about anything. And then I will be finishing cooking this in my Instant Pot too. So I just want to get this kind of started. My meat is mostly cooked now, so I just wanted to kind of get the broth here warmed up. So I'll be back when my meat is finished cooking and I'm ready to add everything else and put it into my little dog hair. When I'm just ready to put it all into the Instant Pot. I don't like putting raw meat in the Instant Pot. I did that one time and I didn't like it. So I'm not going to do it again. So I'm going to do most of my cooking and then just the last few minutes to cook it fast. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, so my meat is more than half cooked. So I'm just adding scoops of the potato in here. Not quite sure how much potato I'm going to be adding, but I'm just doing it slowly using one of my little strainer spoons that I use for other cooking. I just kind of lift up the potatoes out of this water. I just didn't feel like, draining the potatoes at the moment because I'm not ready to do anything with all the rest of the potatoes. I think that's a good amount of potatoes. Just grab the couple that fell behind here. I'm just going to turn my burner off, down. So I got the pork in here, the onions, and now the potatoes. And then to this, I'm also adding a full can of my diced tomatoes with herbs and spices. And I don't think all this stuff is going to fit in this pot, so now I'm going to have to, this is where I now have to switch everything from this pot into that pot. So I will be back in just a moment. Alright, so now I've got it in the larger pot. This is so much easier to work with. So I'll have to add some more potatoes, but I'm also going to add a full 750 gram bag of peas and carrots. There, and I will definitely need to add some more potatoes now. So I'm going to add some more potatoes and let this simmer for about half an hour, and then I'll come back and I'll put it in and see if I need to put it in my Instant Pot, or I might not now. I'm looking at the clock, I don't think I will because it's not even 5 o'clock and nobody's going to be home till like 7 o'clock tonight. So this can just sit here for the next couple hours and just simmer. So I'll be back when I'm ready to make the potato soup, and I'm just going to let this stew just simmer on low for about 2 hours then. Right, so in this pot I now got the potatoes that didn't fit in with the stew. So now I've just mashed them all, and I've got almost 4 cups of milk. So I'm just going to add the 4 cups of milk. And so this is just the basic start of just a very basic potato soup. So I'm just going to let this cook for about 10 minutes to let the milk warm up. I've just got it on about 3 or 4, so just a very low heat, so somewhere between low and medium heat. So I'll be back in about 10 minutes when the milk has warmed up, and then I can add my seasonings for my soup. And then in this pot back here is my stew. So I'll be back in a few hours after my stew has had some time to simmer and finish cooking, but I'll be back in about 10 minutes to finish my potato soup. So here is my cream of potato soup. I'm just going to take this off the burner, just going to put it to the back, let it cool down. I'm just going to add some salt and pepper to this, and then I'm just going to put this in the freezer for later. And then I'm just going to bring this one to the front burner now. So this is our supper for tonight. This is the stew, the meat, potatoes, carrots, and peas, and onions. And I used the faux soup broth just because I didn't have anything else for tonight. So like I said, I'm just going to let this simmer for a little while longer. I mean, the meat is cooked, but it just needs to heat up because my back burner does not heat properly. So I can bring this back to the front burner, and I just spilled stuff all over my stove here. I'm just going to wipe this off so I can get this burner turned back on. Just going to have it on a just if I can get down to like just a high simmer, and just let this simmer for another about an hour. It's almost 6 o'clock, so for another hour, and it should be good to eat. I'm just gonna grab a spoon. I'm just gonna taste it because I haven't added any spices yet. I like to add spices near the end. It definitely needs a little more, well, you know, I mean, pork is always salty, but I can say it definitely needs some pepper. I mean, I can taste salt in it. The can of tomatoes is spiced with herbs and spices. I'm not quite sure what kind of herbs and spices, but it definitely needs a quick sprinkle of some pepper. So I'm just gonna sprinkle in some pepper here. And I'm just gonna do a little sprinkle of salt. And I'll add some more salt and pepper if I need to in the next hour, but I'm just going to let this, you know, just re-simmer, just come back to almost a boil. I mean, I'm not going to turn it up that much higher, but I do want it to kind of just have a little longer to cook. So I will be back in about an hour, and this should be ready to eat. Okay, there's my potato soup that I made. I've added some salt and pepper to it. I'm just going to let it cool down so I don't have the lid on quite yet. And then I'll be putting this in the freezer. So this is, we'll be having, this will probably be like next week's supper. Then this is tonight's supper. Everybody will be home very soon now. I'll be going to pick up my husband fairly soon. My kids, oops, they should be home very soon. So I'm just starting to lift myself up a bowl so I can taste it and tell them how good it tastes. There we go. There is my stew for tonight. I don't have any bread, otherwise I'd be making garlic bread to go with this. But there we go. So there is our supper tonight with a quick and easy stew. Again, just thank you so much to everybody who's subscribing to my channel. I can't believe that this channel, Made with Love, is at 2,400 and whatever it was. I can't keep track because I was looking at it and it just keeps going up more and more every day. So I can't believe I'm at that 2.45 or something subscribers. Just thank you so much for that. That means a lot that people are actually enjoying watching my videos. And I guess I will see you all in my next videos. Bye.